So here's some more surd multiplication. I'm going to use a grid method here. So we're going to draw a rectangle. And we're going to split it into pieces, 4 pieces. And this 3 and negative root 2 are going to form the pieces on the top. 3, negative root 2. And the 4 and the 2 root 2, 4 and the 2 root 2 will form the pieces on this side here. And we just go ahead and fill up the grid according to the multiplication. So in here, we're going to have 4 times 3, so that's 12. And in this grid here, we've got 4 times root 2. So 4 times root 2, isn't that just 4 root 2? But notice we've got a negative, so that's negative 4 root 2. And in here, I think I'm going to take my time with this one because it looks a bit harder, because I'm going to maybe just write this outside. This will be 3 times 2 times root 2. So I think that's 6 root 2. So that's 6 root 2. And the last piece I think is the hardest. I've got negative root 2 times 2 root 2. And the answer goes in here. So maybe I'll take that out and write it separately. I've got negative root 2 times 2 root 2. Now, of course, we can take the 2 to the start, put the negative here, and put the root 2's like this, because we can multiply in any order. We'll get the same answer. And can you see that this becomes a 2? And we've got negative 2 times 2, which is negative 4. So I think the grid system helps organise and keep things together. There's an alternate way, which I will run through as well, and you can compare both methods and see which one works for you. But finally, we've got to write down the answer. And basically, we just go ahead and we just do all of these pieces added together. Of course, if there's a negative, then we just subtract it. And you can do this in one long go, or we can do it in a quick way, because we can see that the 12 minus 4 will combine, right, to give 8. We can also see that 6 root 2's subtract 4 root 2's. Well, that'll just leave 2 root 2's, and it's a positive 2 root 2. So there you have it. Alternatively, we can actually do a different way without using the grid, and we can grab the first piece here and times it by each term in the second, right? So 3 times 4 here would be 12. I'll just do it down the bottom. And then this is 3 times 2 times root 2. And I think you can see that that's 6 root 2. Then we take the second term, negative root 2, and we times it by the first thing. So that's negative root 2 times 4 is negative 4 root 2. And then we take the negative root 2, and we times it by the 2 root 2. And then we find that that's negative times positive is a negative, and that's negative 2 times 2. And you can see we've got the same answers as before. Let's just do a little one-to-one correspondence. The 12's match, the 6 root 2 matches, the negative 4 root 2 matches, and the negative 2 times 2 matches to give the negative 4, right? So whichever method you prefer, you go for it. You try maybe both. Now, of course, for the last stage, the 12 will combine with the negative 4 to leave 8. And the 6 root 2 will combine with the minus 4 root 2 to leave 2 root 2. So if you like that method, then that's the one for you. We'll go on to this question here. It's a little bit naughtier. Maybe I'll just do this one, right? So here we have a sneaky one. Now, some people might be tempted just to distribute the 2 over the 2 terms inside, but of course that's a beautiful mistake that many of us make. To realise, what if we had 2 plus 3 squared, right? We know the answer is 5 squared is 25, but look what happens when you distribute the power of 2 over both of the terms inside. 2 squared plus 3 squared. Can you see that's 4 plus 9 equals 13, right? So something's definitely gone wrong when we do that technique. So it's not a valid technique, and we will show you the correct way. So it's got root 3, subtract root 7, and when we say it's squared, it means it's times by itself. So in fact, We should be doing this again using the grid system, if you like the grid system. This is root 3. This is negative root 7. This is also root 3 times negative root 7. And then you go ahead and fill in the pieces according to what you are multiplying together to get into that particular piece of the grid. I'm going to do it without the grid, but please do use it if you want to. Root 3 times root 3 for me is 3. Root 3 times root 7, well, it'll be a negative. I'll just write it down, root 3, root 7. Then I've got negative 7 times root 3, so negative root 7 times root 3. Then finally I've got negative times a negative, I know is a positive. And then haven't I just got root 7 times root 7, which is 7. So let's write it again, 3 minus, I think this is root 21, right? We can put it over a single root sign, root 21 plus 7. And now I can gather like terms again. Here's 3 plus 7, that will give me a 10. Then I also have the root 21s, but be careful to take the negative with it, and there's a hidden 1 there, right? Negative 1 more, so negative 1 subtract 1, I think that's negative 2, right? Negative 2 of those things, so negative 2 root 21s, and that is your final answer.